Hey guys, told you I'd be back. And so earlier you maybe did, maybe didn't, it's backwards now because of the way my camera is, but I read the Leprechaun Scold for St. Patrick's Day. And one of the things I used to do in my classroom with my kids after reading some fun leprechaun story around St. Patrick's Day, sometimes we were on spring break. So it might've been later, it might've been before, but we always did a little leprechaun craft and then wrote a story to go with it. So I haven't done it in like almost 8 years. So that's kind of crazy. But I know some of you are cooped up in home and not able to be around your friends and maybe tired of worksheets or sitting at the table. So you could do this on the floor. I don't usually work at a table, but somewhere comfortable where you can spread out. There's a lot of steps to this, so it might take you longer than this video. Take your time, be creative, and there's no rules, but it's just kind of a fun thing to do on a day when maybe mom and dad need a break and you want something fun and different to do. So I was a big project kind of teacher. So if you are one of my old students or a parent of one of my students, this will look familiar to you. And if you have yours still, that's saying a lot because a lot of you are quite a bit older, then throw a picture on here so we can see it. I couldn't find any of my examples, but I still had all my tracers and stuff. So to begin with, if you want to do this without having to sit there and do it for your kids, and this could be for a bunch of different ages. I always had a bunch of tracers that I would throw at all the different tables so that my kids could do it all independently. Again, there's no rules. So if your shapes are not exactly the same, then that's not a big deal. If you want to free cut or free do something, then that's not a big deal either. But the basic design was always the same. So we kind of did tracers for a lot of the stuff so that they could be independent. Tracers were often made, if you go thinking of things that you have at home. If you have construction paper, you're going to want to dig some of that out. If not, and you just have white paper, kids can color whatever. It doesn't have to be different colors. You can do it however you want. So this file folder or something like that, or even just a piece of construction paper that's kind of got a little more oomph to it, makes a good tracer. So this is a good option if you have one of these old one laying around. It doesn't have to be new or anything, but it opens up and it gives you a lot of space for tracers. And that way you can kind of help your kids make the tracers, and then I don't know, then you can do it again or give it to friends or something like that. Pass it on after you Lysol it. I don't know. Anyway, so that's that. I already have my tracers, but I'm going to show you what you can use. So for the body of our leprechaun, you're going to want something that looks kind of like a tear shape. This is a straight edge, and what we're going to be making is 3 hearts. So even as kids, we used to make hearts. So you get an idea of size. If I put this down, like if I were to put my hand on a piece of paper, you can kind of see that it's exactly my palm. So if you wanted to put your hand on something, actually, I guess if you kind of did it like this and just traced around, it's going to give you about that size. But we want sort of a, hand size teardrop shape to kind of use as the tracer for your hearts. So, and you're going to need 3 hearts, which I used to always write on there, and that's going to drive me crazy. This stuff is backwards, but you want 3 hearts for the body. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Once you have your tracer done, then you're going to fold 3 pieces of green construction paper. You're going to need 1 for each heart. So kids, if you remember this is a hot dog fold, kind of looks like a big long hot dog. You're going to want to do the hamburger fold, which is the wider fold. So I used to always tell my kids, don't try to fold paper holding it up like that. Use the table. So match your corners, hold those corners together, put it down, keep those fingers at the corner, and then press. And then you get one of these. So I have 3 of these now. Then I'm going to use my tracer. I'm going to put it, remember, if it's like a book, you want to be on that fold part so that you get a heart. I'm going to put my tracer on there. It's kind of like this. This is the fold. I'm trying to save this for maybe something else. So I'm going to use, designs or whatever later, not wasting paper. Use my pencil, trace. And I've done that on all 3 papers. So now I have 3 hearts. So I'm going to cut them out. I'm gonna try not to have my concentration face. I tend to be one of those that like sticks my tongue out. So I'm not used to doing videos. This is kind of different for me. This is what we're gonna end up with. We're doing 3 of these. So that's 1. I've already done my tracing, so I've got my little pencil marks on here. I'm not just freehanding this. 2. You have kind of like a little trash can nearby or a bowl, kind of like a Rachel Ray, have a dump bowl so that you can get rid of scraps and don't necessarily wad them up. You might use them for something else later. And 3. So now I have 3 hearts. Here, your hearts are about the same size. It's all good. Now, what we're gonna do is make a 3-leaf clover, sort of. Not 4, I know, it'd be fun to do 4, but what it is you're gonna take 1 heart and turn it totally upside down. And I want you to imagine these are pants. So these are like big pantaloon type pants. And each one of these is a leg. So that's gonna have kind of like a bum and the legs facing you. So have a heart completely upside down in front of you. Then take the next heart and you're gonna kind of put it in front. I'm trying to make sure that you can actually see this. Put it right above one leg and take the other heart and put it on the other side above the leg. So now if you can see, I'm gonna kind of lift this. You basically have a 3-leaf clover. So, I'm totally new at this, so bear with me. And now this is gonna be the sloppy side. No one's gonna see this. It's gonna be the tape side. So use some tape if you have some tape sitting around the house. Might be a better idea to dig all this out. I'm just going to start putting at least 2 pieces of tape between each hearts, between 2 hearts on each side. And I'll show you this in a minute. Kind of spread those pieces apart so that it's a little more substantial. Get it closer to the joints of the heart if you want to use more, but no need to go crazy. Okay, so what I've done is taped kind of all along these seams. And then basically now I'm looking, it doesn't really matter which way, but this is what you've done. You've kind of made a 3-leaf clover. So we have the bottom heart, which is going to be the pants. And then these are going to be the 2 arms. And then this is going to be kind of one of those fancy collars like you see in like the Wizard of Oz or something like that. So that's going to be that. So you're going to put that down, flip it so that the pretty side's in front of you. And you can actually kind of put that aside for now. Next thing you're going to do is you need a head. So again, if you want to do a tracer or just use something, you don't have to have a tracer. I guess you can just find something to trace. But here's my head tracer. This is like 100 years old. It says head. So I used to label them. And I looked around the house because, of course, I'm thinking you guys don't have all the stuff that you have in a classroom. But bet you have one of these right now. Hopefully, if not, you're probably in trouble. So just a paper towel. It's about that size. See? So you could either put a paper towel down and use a pencil and kind of trace around. It's a little soft, so be careful. Or make yourself a tracer, cut it out, give it to your kids so that they can practice tracing. That's the key, is you want your kids to have that kind of dexterity and practice tracing. So here is a head tracer. I made a couple of them. And then you're going to put that on a piece of manila or brown or whatever kind of head you want to make for your leprechaun. Now, the Irish, typically red hair, or you think kind of the stereotype is pale skin, freckles, red hair. So again, here's my piece of manila paper, or you can do like a brown piece or whatever color. I don't care. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. Put it over to the side. I never wanted my kids to do like this because it just seemed wasteful and you'd get a lot more use out of paper. Waste not, want not. So we put this in the middle. Again, trace. Let your kids do it. Something for them to do. And then we have that on there. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out. And this is going to be the head of our leprechaun. And if you don't get the edges just right, I actually have a little point. Doesn't matter. So it's fine. You know, it's practice. So, and you're going to make hair too. So later on, what you're going to be able to do is use some either yarn or whatever color, red construction paper, orange construction paper. I used to put out a lot of brown, blonde. Sometimes my kids made their leprechauns look as much like themselves as possible. Sometimes they wanted to make them look, you know, red hair crazy, or it was a girl or a boy or whatever. It didn't matter. So I kept, apparently, a lot of different hair types. So like here's one where we made some hair. So like you can see where that's going to be a little part on the side. And actually, if you want it, that could be a boy. And then we actually had some that made like a ponytail. And so then it was like a ponytail like this, or you could do two and have, you know, like ponytails on the other side. So that's one option. Or you could do like curly hair, and that's kind of fun and cute. You could have, you know, that bad hair day or punk rock, whatever, kind of fun. This little guy, and that's just, all that is just zigzags everywhere. Or we used to like make like a half circle, and then you just cut shreds, like do this with your scissors, and then you just kind of mess them up. And that way you get kind of like a little fringy thing going on with your guy. So I'm going to choose my crazy hair because he's cute. And then I'm going to put him on here. And again, I'm going to use the back, put a piece of tape. This is where in my classroom, we would have used glue, not tape. But, you know, you use whatever you have. So, and glue's, we don't have time for that. So we're going to do some tape. So I put it on the back. Then when you flip it, you've got your crazy head guy. Now, bring back this, flip it to the pretty side. You want your one heart upside down. Doesn't really matter which direction, but find your one heart, because remember, this is a leg and a leg, an arm and an arm, and then this is that kind of collar thing that's going to go behind. So my head is going to go right about here, and then you can tape that down. So I'm going to do a roll. I would glue that, but again, for the sake of time, I'm putting a little piece of tape. You don't want to tape it just down, because then you see ugly tape lines, and who wants that? So there is my little guy, and you want it enough so that you can kind of get that idea of the collar. Okay, so far we've got the body. I know it kind of looks a little bit weird right now, but believe me, it'll come together. And then my head, and now we're ready to move on. So next step is to take some black paper or brown, whatever you have, or color, and then you just want to, let me see. This one's kind of easy. I did tracers for this, but it's really not necessary. Here's just a piece of black paper. And what we're looking for is several parts of this are going to be rectangles. So we have a hat rim, a hat band that's a little shorter. It's about the same, but it's just a little shorter. And I used to actually, on the back side, right, you can't see it very well, it's the belt. So you want two of these, one for the hat band that's going to go kind of like, think about a little band around a cowboy hat or a top hat. So you're going to have a little hat band, and then you're also going to have a belt the same size. So two of these, and then this is going to be like the rim of the hat. So you want that. And actually, I'm going to put this aside. Remember this, because you want this in green. Sorry. Hat you want green, but black you want for the hat band and the belt. So I am going to actually just fold, like, remember old paper folding? Fold back one piece, just like that. Okay, so I took the short side. It doesn't matter, you could do it this way too, but the idea is just make yourself a rectangle. And really, if you see, this is going to be two of these. So what I'm gonna do is cut my little fold. Okay, then kids, you're gonna take it, fold it in half, use the table, open it up, and boom, cut it in half. Now you have a hat band, and if you want to do a hat band in a different color, go for it. Doesn't matter, but this is what I used to do. And then here's the belt. Okay, now if we did the exact same thing with orange or yellow, I always like to use yellow. Let's see if I have yellow. I do. I did the exact same thing and folded myself a little band like this. Cut my strip. I have the same thing. Okay, I'm going to bring back, here is my belt buckle or belt and my hat band. Well, I want a buckle. So I'm going to cut a little strip like that. I'm going to cut another little strip like that. Save this for later. You'll need it. Okay, here's this. Now, you can either put that on and just leave it kind of like that, or draw a square on there or something like that. Or I had sometimes kids that would get really crafty and fold this in half and like cut another little rectangle in there, pop it out. And when you open it, you've got a little square. And so now you've got this clever little buckle. Okay, and I'm going to use ugly tape, glue it. I don't know where my glue is. People, it's been 8 years. We don't really, I have a 17 and a 19-year-old, so I don't really have lots of glue. So there's my little hat band or belt buckle. Let's make this one the belt buckle. So look, cute. Now it's starting to look more like a leprechaun. So I'm going to put him on there. Use 2 pieces of tape. We're gonna have to get more tape. Not that we tape a lot of things around here, but there we go. Put it a little, about a finger down in the center, top of the pants. And then there's that little guy. Put that aside. You're gonna do the same thing with the hat band. If you want, this time I'm gonna do a little different. I'm gonna do a little half circle or something like that, just so it looks a little different. Okay, same thing. You can do whatever you want. You might have some really cool idea. This is where my kids would get creative, and when we had a whole wall of leprechauns outside the classroom, no two looked exactly alike. And so we had a whole band of leprechauns, which, let's be honest, second graders are kind of like a little band of tricksters, so it's kind of fun. So that's gonna be my hat band. Okay, so I'm gonna put my hat band to the side and make the hat now. So the hat, I'm gonna bring back, remember that strip that I said was gonna be a hat band? It's a little longer than the belt, not by much, but it's gonna be a little bit longer. And then I had a hat tracer. Now here's the trick with the hat tracer. This was a problem for my kids every year. Basically, it's a rectangle. So if you find something that's, I don't know, let's see, here's the length of the side of paper. So it's not quite the short side of a paper, but a little bigger. And what I did with my tracers is, you'll notice it's a little bit tapered so that it's skinnier at the bottom than it is at the top. But some of my kids actually like to make their hats more like this. So doesn't matter. Or maybe you just want it like a straight top hat. Does not really matter. Find something to trace, some sort of rectangular something. It could even be like, here's an envelope. So you could put this on a piece of paper and trace it, and then really all you see is that you kind of taper in a little bit. Okay, and you're gonna do that on green. So remember how I'd said, keep that green? Well, I lied. When I use this, now that'll work for the hat band, but it's not gonna work for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get another sheet of green. So this is taking a total of 4 pieces of green construction paper. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna put this on here. I'm gonna line one of these long edges up, trace it. Okay. Cut it out. And you might want a black top hat. Sorry about that. looks like I'm running out of battery. I'll try to make this quick. There's my hat. And then I'm going to use that long skinny tracer on one of my scrap papers. And right up on the edge makes for less having to make and cut straight edges. Cut across. And now, hat band, hat. Look. Okay, so again, I'm gonna take this and kind of put it there. Tape it. Glue it. If you glue, just make sure you give it a little bit of time to dry. So like you might put some of these things together, lay them down, let them dry while you decorate the hair or the face of your leprechaun. So then here is my little hat. Then I'm gonna go back and get my hat band. I'm gonna put it on the front and it'll overlap a little bit, but that's okay. And then put my little these are so cute. Put my hat band on. And now, here is, and you could put it on crooked or you could put it on straight, however you want. I'm gonna put mine on just a little bit crooked. Don't want to cover up too much of that hair. Come on, tape. And he's coming together. Here's my little leprechaun. Now, take your crayons, go in here, make lifelike eyes, or depending on your age, you might just do a happy face. We used to do like long noses. We'd make pipes, or they'd have a little pot of gold that they were holding, or some of them would have, a corncob pipe, or smiles, or freckles, or a beard. We had lots of kids that liked to make the beards, and that was pretty funny. Then the last two tracers are going to be on black shoes, and you can do these however you want. You can make two of these on black paper. Let's see if I can do that real quickly. And this is where those little strips of yellow are nice, because you can make black boots or brown boots and then come back with those little squares of yellow and have yourself some more buckles on your shoes. Or if you're more inclined to make some other kind of shoe, we had kids that wanted to make like long, pointy, like elf type shoes. You know what? Let your kids be creative. They might make you giggle with whatever they come up with. We definitely don't want two leprechauns that look exactly alike. But here's my two shoes. I'm gonna put a piece of tape on each. And you'll see. I'm gonna flip it over. Tape them from the back. I'll show you. So there's my little guy. I'm gonna take that piece of yellow paper. I'm gonna cut off a piece and just make two small buckles. Or maybe laces or striped socks, whatever. Here we go. And then last but not least, and again, this is totally your preference, I made two tracers on manila paper with hands. And these were pretty big. They look kind of like mittens. And we would put those here and here. So they'd have two hands. You could also do hands, like if you have smaller kids, tracing their hands is pretty cute and doing that. And this is where you got really fun, because we put those hands on there at the end. And sometimes they would make additional things like a pot of gold or a rainbow or things like that. And then of course, have fun going with the face. So that's your little leprechaun for St. Patrick's Day. And that's awfully cute to hang up somewhere in your house and have for the March and bring a little luck to your house. So have fun with this. I can't wait to see if you make it. Take a picture and post it and let me see. So I hope y'all are having a good day. Try to stay healthy, wash your hands, and I hope you find a pot of gold.